But Matthew 13, um, 57 says, and they were deeply offended and refused to believe in him. Then Jesus told them, a prophet is honored everywhere except in his own hometown and among his own family. And so he did only a few miracles there because of their unbelief. And today I'm just grateful for life, health, strength. I'm grateful for my wife and my children and each and every one of you. And grateful for my church family and, just grateful for my friendship circles. Grateful for everything that God has blessed me with. Um, in this particular verse, this is one of those scriptures that people quote all the time. Um, and it's one of those things that we would want to call a tough pill to swallow, because naturally as humans, we look towards the persons closest to us or the persons we grew up with or the persons who we spend a lot of time with. Um, we look to try to impress them. We look towards them for sort of um, validation in a lot of the things that we do. But the Christ tells us in this particular verse that, like, we sort of lower in our expectations by even assuming that they can like what we do, or assuming that they can get, you know. Um, Sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith, and you gotta go out there and you gotta go and find your purpose, find your journey. And most times it probably won't be around the persons who you were expecting validation from, and you just have to make up in your mind to be okay with that. And like I say, it's a tough pill to swallow, but that's just something that you're gonna have to do. You know, I can remember those who've been in the room from a long time. I always can remember, when I was part of my transition into being, I guess, the level of success that God has blessed me with was the fact that I had to leave home to do it. I had to leave a lot of the friends that I was comfortable around. I had to leave a lot of the persons who I thought had my best interest at heart. And as I look back and realize that they still where I left them, I realized that it was God that pulled me out of the situation. He did allow me to journey outside of my hometown, journey outside of my friend circle, journey outside of my family to help me to be able to accomplish what He had in store for me in terms of my purpose. You know, so as I pull up to this airport, I talked a fitting verse, and I didn't even think about it when I shared this. Um, but to whoever needs to hear that this morning, you know, don't be afraid to step outside the box. Don't be afraid to venture outside of your hometown or outside of your friendship circles, or don't be afraid to sometimes leave family out. You know, sometimes the people who feeding you poison is the one who cook your dinner. So anyway, everyone, I pulling up here now. Thank you again, everyone, for always just listening to me and always just giving me the opportunity to speak to you guys in the morning and to get our day started. And my continuous prayers is for God always to continue to bless each and every person in this room in Jesus' mighty name. And pray for safe travels for me, because Lord knows I flying on a small plane this morning and I ain't a big fan of these, but I gotta do what I gotta do. So I'm carrying our relinquish my mic.